This video is brought to you by the good folks over at Sustainably Yours Cat Litter. Thank you so much for making this possible. Hey gang, it is I, Jackson Galaxy, your ever-loving cat daddy, and today we're going to talk about one of those little touchy subjects here, well, both literally and figuratively. If cats hit their litter box every single time, I would be out of a job, gladly, but I'm not, because there's litter box problems always, and that's why I've made a lot of videos about it. Today, though, we're going to concentrate on something very specific and something that I've seen a lot of, so hopefully, if you are having issues out there with litter box, well, hopefully you're not having a problem. If your cat's having a problem, that's why I'm here. But even if your cat's not having a problem, something I'm going to talk about today is a great way of helping to avoid issues in the future. So today, it's all about, whether you want to call it substrate preference or surface preference or just litter box avoidance and why litter matters. Let's get mojo-fied, you guys. So like I said at the top, there's a lot of different reasons why your cat may stop using the litter box. And I know it's that moment that makes you just fly out of your skin because what's going on here? Why are you doing this? And are you going to do more of it? And is my house going to stink and all of that? The first thing I will say, as I always say, and come closer, come closer. I'm not a vet, nor do I play one on TV. So I'm telling you, if your cat starts peeing or pooping outside the box, they've never done it before, where do we go? We go to the vet. So the first thing we're gonna talk about is surface preference itself. Cats will go to certain areas just because they feel better. Your cat's pads are very sensitive. They register heat. They sweat out of here. It's a very thin coating of skin down here. So when they step on something, if it's lumpy, bumpy, sharp, whatever, to me, it's an invitation to bye-bye. So let's just think about this. One of the reasons why I ask you guys to scoop your litter box on a very regular basis, and I know that that's kind of a no-brainer to a certain degree because it smells and whatever, but one of the reasons why your cat may just say, yeah, I don't want to go in here is not just because it's dirty per se, but it's also really bumpy, lumpy, all of those clumps that are sitting around in a box, and they got to find a smooth place, which is what they're going to prefer to go and eliminate. So if we do that and we're trying to keep our boxes clean and smooth, then why would we use a substrate or a litter that is bumpy or sharp or pellets or any of those things where it may cause even just a little bit of unpleasantness and cause them to go elsewhere? The answer to that question, by the way, is we wouldn't. We don't do it. Here are some of the things that I look for that say to me, all right, cat's just not happy with what's in the box. So the first thing is that they eliminate right outside the box. It's almost their way of saying, I know I'm supposed to go in there. I know that that's the place for me to do this. It just isn't a pleasant experience. I go to this place and it hurts. So why would I keep going back, even though I know I'm supposed to go there? So right outside the box, that's a clue that it could be about the litter itself. Another is when your cats start to go for a very specific feel. So a lot of times when I know cats are not happy with the way their litter box feels is they'll go for smooth surfaces like the bathtub or the sink. Same thing goes for searching for a soft spot. So sometimes we'll find cats going on pillows or high shag carpets or things like that because again, they're looking for soft. So smooth, soft, that's another symptom that your cat might be avoiding their substrate. Another thing that I find cats who really just don't like their litter, the way they show it to us is when they're coming out of the litter box, they do a lot of paw shaking. You know, it's kind of obvious, right? If I touch a stove and I'm like, ah, what? Ooh, it's hot. So how do we remedy this kind of a situation when it comes to texture itself? I mean, let's think about how cats choose where to eliminate outside. Usually it's dirt, the softest dirt they can find. It's also in sand. So the softer it is, the more apt a cat is going to go there. So that leads us to the texture that I would advocate for, which is the closest thing that you can get to sand. The closest thing you can get to something that's really fine and doesn't risk any of the things that I'm talking about. So that's the texture part of the equation. The second part of the equation is, what does your litter smell like? I think that the mistake, if that's what I can call it, that a lot of us tend to make is that when we think of bad smells, we think of what's a bad smell to us. And that's just pee or poop or just general cat smell that comes out of a litter box. Now, of course, if you've let your cat go in the litter a lot and you haven't cleaned it at all, and there's a very heavy duty ammonia smell, yeah, that could be pretty harsh on a cat. But what you might not think about is all of these scented litters. And I mean, you guys, if you've ever opened up a bag of scented litter and stuck your head in it, because that's what I do. I do all kinds of things for you. But if you ever wanted to experiment with this, stick your head in a scented litter and I dare you to take 3 deep breaths into that. It's nasty, it's artificial, and it's a turnoff. Cats can smell about 14 times better than we can. We have about 5 million olfactory receptors in our noses. Cats, on the other hand, have between about 25 and 80 million. And if you can't take a breath into that perfumey bag of litter, think about what your cat's going through, and absolutely just avoid perfumed and scented litters. There's just no point to it. Another thing, dust, you guys. Whew, this mostly comes to pass with clay litters. Do the old test on yourself, right? You dump a bag of a normal clay litter into a litter box and stand over the top of it and try to deal with the dust that comes out of that litter. If it chokes you when you dump it, think about every time your cat scratches on that litter and it releases both the scent and it releases that dust. So dust is something else that might lead your cat to just saying, you know what, man, I'd rather go on the carpet because the carpet doesn't smell like daisies and have enough ash to fill a volcano. Another thing that when we think about how our cats react to litter is the level of litter. If you have a lot of litter in your box and you happen to have a long-haired cat who suddenly starts avoiding it, don't forget that hair that is attached to their body, they're so sensitive they almost act like whiskers. And so if every time they go into the box, it's sort of scraping up against their bottom hairs there or their tail, it can get really annoying. The other thing that you might find is if you have more of a senior cat and maybe a little bit of a chunk, I'm not judging, I'm just saying, they sort of sink into the litter a little bit, especially when they go to poop, they have to sort of grab on. So if they're older and if they might have arthritis or something like that, and they've got to grab on like that, it just might be just enough of an unpleasant experience between that and the hair that scrapes up against the litter that they might just go, yeah, I'm going someplace else. And again, like I said, whether they're using a bathtub or a sink or something like that, sometimes it's about the paws, sometimes it could be about just that unpleasant feeling. You add another litter box. So let's say you had 4 or 5 inches worth of litter in a box. Well, you're gonna add another one and just use enough to cover the bottom, 1.5 inches, something like that, 2 inches max, just to see if it causes your cat to say, oh, okay, this I can handle, you know? At the bottom of all this, after you've been scratching around a bunch in here, the answer to this is that litter does matter. So to recap, you guys, texture matters, level matters, not having a perfumey scent matters, not having dust matters. If it's even remotely offensive to you when you stick your head in a bag, just imagine how bad it's gonna be for them. So scoop a lot, make your choices mindfully. What I would tell you is use a litter that is as close to sand as you can get. If you have the choice, go natural. I mean, well, not you, please. When you're experimenting with a new litter, or even the height of a litter box or placement of a box, don't just take one away. add another one. It's a short-term thing, you guys. You're conducting an experiment. If I have a litter over here that my cat has used fairly regularly, but yeah, it's dusty and it's perfumey and I'd rather them use something else, or it's clay and I don't want them to use clay, and I want to try something natural. I want to try something that's a little sandier, something like that. You would put another box in an area where they tend to use a litter box and sort of just put them there. And then you have a side-by-side comparison. And then once they have decided that, hey, I like this as well, then you would just start adding a little bit of that into their old box. And every time you scoop, you add a little bit more of the new litter until you have a turnover. Things are done gradually when it comes to litter boxes. You just don't want to like take one away, put one there, because that, in my experience, is an invitation to all kinds of chaos, litter box anarchy, and mayhem. Just take my word on this one, you guys. Take my word for it. Again, a lot of this comes from experience, and not just with my clients, but in my own home. Litter does matter, you guys. And that's the message. All right, that's it for today. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for watching all videos. Make sure to hit the bell, because if you're dealing with problems like this, you want to know the next time I'm talking about litter box issues, which I guarantee you will be right around the corner. And don't forget, if one of your friends is having a litter box issue with their cats, pass this video on to them so that we can just spread the joy instead of, you know, spreading pee and poop around our homes. Not fun for anybody. All right, guys, until next time, all light and all love and all mojo to you.